City of Waco announced today that their election, which includes voting in a new mayor, will be on May 2nd, declining to postpone it until November. Fox 44's Cameron Stewart, he's live in the studio after talking to city officials and some election day hopefuls. Cameron, how are they feeling about this decision?
Well, Adam, the decision came as a shocking one to some of the candidates whose lives may change with the election results. The city of Waco, however, unlike some of their neighbors, has decided to stay true to their original schedule.
At this time, we are not postponing or changing the plans to have the May election on schedule.
Even though Waco is under a shelter-in-place order until at least April 7th, voters can start lining up at the polls less than 2 weeks later. With the uncertainty of the coronavirus spreading, the mass gatherings may not be safe.
So for me, it was a direct contradiction to then expect people to come out in 25 days to a public space where there's hundreds of other people, put election workers at risk, put our community members at risk, and it feels like we're not allowing people who are maybe immune suppressed or elderly to come out and vote, and to do so without risking their safety.
Hope Balfa Mustakim thinks it's not only contradictory, but the decision may also fall under a more sinister category.
I feel like this, whether they realize it or not, is an act of voter suppression by definition, because we're discouraging people from coming out in public, so we're discouraging them thus to come into these public spaces, and so it doesn't really allow for a fair and equitable election to have at a time where people are afraid to come out into these spaces and get infected.
Waco Mayor candidate Dave Morrow says this decision to keep the election on May 2nd will put voters in a tough position.
You know, it's my responsibility as an American to participate in our democracy. However, people have to say, well, gosh, if I get sick with that, I'm going to be in the hospital for a month, and it's really bad. Yeah, and they could die. So it's a hard choice.
The city is allowing for an alternative for those who can't get out and vote.
What we're trying to do is encourage our citizens who are in the 65 years age or older, or those who have immune deficiencies that are maybe more vulnerable to picking up the disease that we're dealing with right now, is to vote by mail.
Remember, the city can decide to postpone the election to November up until that early voting starting date, which is April 20th. For more information on how to get one of those mail-in ballots, you can follow the link on our website, fox44news.com. Live in the studio, I'm Cameron Stewart. Back to you, Adam.